So AI is completely changing the game for businesses, right? It's offering this incredible speed, scale, and efficiency. But here's the thing, with all that power comes a massive responsibility. We're going to dive into a challenge that every single business is facing right now. How to make sure your AI is a powerful asset and not some kind of hidden liability just waiting to blow up.
And that really leads to the big question you've got to be asking yourself. Is the AI you're using actually moving your business forward? Or is it quietly creating risks that could tear down everything you've worked for? As we're about to see, the answer really just depends on how you manage it.
I mean, look at the two sides of this coin. The difference is just stark. On one hand, you've got the promise of doing things faster and better than ever before. But on the other, you're looking at the very real danger of wrecking your reputation, leaking critical data, and getting hit with huge fines. That line between the two, it's razor thin. And it all boils down to one word: integrity.
So, how in the world do you navigate this? Well, it all starts with getting a handle on the new rules of the game. We're talking about a concept that's gone from a nice-to-have to being absolutely essential: content integrity.
Okay, so what is content integrity? It's not just some buzzword for quality control. In the age of AI, it's a critical part of your business strategy. It means making sure that every single piece of content, from an internal email to a massive ad campaign, is trustworthy, accurate, and totally secure, from the moment it's created to the moment it goes public.
All right, let's get real and talk about the money. Because when AI gets something wrong, the fallout isn't just theoretical. It hits your bottom line. And it can hit it hard.
The main troublemaker here is this weird thing called an AI hallucination. This is when an AI just makes stuff up. It says something that sounds totally plausible, totally confident, but it's completely, factually wrong. And you got to understand, this isn't some rare bug. It's a built-in risk of how these models actually work. And get this, the scale of the problem is kind of staggering. Studies are showing that even the top AI models can hallucinate anywhere from 3% to over 20% of the time. Now just stop and think about that for a second. That could be 1 out of every 5 customer service answers or 1 out of every 5 internal reports being just plain wrong.
And you can see how this just spirals, right? It's a domino effect. One little hallucination in, say, a product description or a quarterly report can lead straight to a trashed reputation, customers who no longer trust you, and maybe even legal trouble. In a world that's about to be flooded with AI content, being verifiably accurate, that's your new competitive edge.
But hey, it's not just about getting the facts wrong. Generative AI has basically thrown open the doors to a whole new class of security threats, and that means we need totally new defenses.
We're talking about some pretty wild new attack methods. Things like data poisoning, where someone intentionally messes up the AI's training data, or prompt injection, where they basically trick the AI into breaking its own safety rules. And of course, the huge risk of accidentally leaking your company's secret sauce.
Let's zoom in on 2 of the biggest threats you'll see right now. Prompt injection is like a hacker whispering bad ideas into your AI's ear. But honestly, even more common is IP leakage. This is where a well-meaning employee just copies and pastes sensitive company info into a public AI tool, not realizing they've just served it up to the model's training data. Forever.
Okay, so with all this doom and gloom about hallucinations and security risks, what's the actual fix? Well, it might surprise you. It's not just about fighting tech with more tech. Your most critical, most important safeguard is, and probably always will be, a human.
Let me just say that again, because if you take away only one thing from this whole explainer, this is it. The single most reliable safeguard against AI risk is structured human oversight. Technology by itself is not going to save you. This whole idea is called human in the loop, or HITL for short, and the key word here is before. This isn't damage control after something's gone wrong. It's about being proactive. It means having trained people review, fact-check, and sign off on AI content before it ever gets published or acted on.
A really solid HITL process isn't just one person checking things. No, it's like having multiple layers of security. It starts with a first-pass review, then it goes to an expert for a deep-dive fact-check, and it ends with a final sign-off from your brand and legal teams. This layered approach is how you turn that potential risk into a trustworthy tool.
So, human oversight is the heart of it all. But you've got to back it up with the right tools and the right policies to build a framework that's actually going to hold up under pressure.
Your toolkit should have specific software for things like detecting AI-generated text, spotting hallucinations, and, of course, good old-fashioned plagiarism checks. Think of these as your automated first responders. For instance, a tool like Vectora can help cross-reference factual claims, which is a lifesaver for important content.
But tools alone, they're not going to cut it. Your entire philosophy around security needs a major overhaul. And for AI, that means embracing what's called a zero-trust model.
The idea behind zero trust is actually pretty simple. Never trust, always verify. By default, you trust no one. Every single request for data gets authenticated. All the data is encrypted, and people only get access to the absolute bare minimum they need to do their jobs. For industries like finance or healthcare, this isn't just a good idea, it's the bare minimum.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. This sounds like a ton of work, a ton of cost. But what if we're looking at this all backwards? This is where we need to flip the script. All of these safeguards, they're not just a cost. When you do them right, they become your single greatest competitive advantage.
Just look at emerging standards like C2PA. You can think of it like a digital nutrition label for your content. It's backed by huge players like Adobe and Microsoft, and it embeds proof into your files showing where they came from and how they were made. It's a way to build instant trust with your customers.
And that brings us to this quote, which honestly just nails it. Leadership in this new AI era isn't a race to be the first to implement something. It's a race to be the one your customers can trust the most. Responsibility, that's the new metric for winning.
Because at the end of the day, all this stuff, accuracy, security, transparency, it's not putting the brakes on innovation. It's the exact opposite. It's the solid foundation that lets you build and innovate for the long term with confidence.
So, that leaves one last question, and this one's for you. As AI rewrites all the rules of business, is your company just going to try and keep up, or are you ready to be the one who sets the standard?